an example of low jumping squats. Make sure you keep your head and shoulders upright and your core is nice and tight. So when you're going down, keep your head and shoulders up. Tap your toes in between each squat. So tap and drop. Tap and drop. Tap and drop. Tap and drop. Your shoulder press exercise is done with 2 dumbbells. You want to go heavy with this particular exercise because you are using a lot of your muscles, a lot of the muscles that are in your back. You're using your lats and your traps as well as your delts, which are your shoulders. So you want to come here, elbows are nice and straight, and press straight up. Core is nice and tight. Exhale as you lift. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Notice I'm posturing with, I'm not leaning back when I do my shoulder press. My hips are in and my back is curved, and that helps me to keep from rocking backwards. That puts too much pressure on your lower back. So you want to stay here, hips are forward, brace yourself with your rear foot. And that is your shoulder press. With your single leg, floor touch, knee ups. Weight is in one hand, knees raised. It doesn't matter which hand the weight is in, as long as you're raising the hand that has the weight. So either if it's in this hand right here with your base leg, and you're going down and you're hopping up, it doesn't really matter. You're still working the leg and you're still working your upper body. So here, I'm going down. Notice I'm leading with my weight. I'm leading with the actual weight. So whether I'm here or here, it's the weight that touches the floor, it's the weight that I raise. So I would do the proper amount of reps with this particular leg and that particular arm, and then I would switch and do the exact same thing and raise up. Bench shoulder rolls are done with 2 weights of the same size. The thing that you want to keep in mind is that when you're bending over at the waist, you don't want your back to round out. You want to arch your back. So your belly button goes down, your head and shoulders come up. So you're bending at the waist, leaning over, and then head and shoulders come up. Your arms are straight down, but when you pull them up, you want to pull them up so whereas the elbow breaks the plane of the back, so you want to pull them up nice and high. So your weights come up to your chest, your elbow comes higher than this, your elbow comes all the way up. So your arch, head and shoulders are up, and you're drawing up, arms are down, pull them all the way up. With your floor mountain climbers, you want to get into a prone position and a straight plank position. And then you're drawing your knees up to your chest, not touching the floor, but you're chopping away. Be careful not to pike up. Keep your hips down into a straight plank position. And those are your floor mountain climbers. With your kettlebell swings, you can do them with 2 hands or a single hand. But the body mechanics are essentially the same. What you want to do is make sure that your core is nice and tight. Keep in mind, a kettlebell swing is a core exercise, not an arm exercise. So you're popping your hip forward, being careful not to let your weight teardrop. This is teardrop. Make sure it does not teardrop. It should go out parallel to the floor. Your bell should be nice and straight. It should not drop down like this. So from the side, you will notice that I'm popping my hips, and I may go 2 reps, and then switch on the up. Same body mechanic. We were doing 2-handed. My hips are popping the weight, not my arms. And that is your kettlebell swing. Your cannonballs are akin to jumping in the pool as a cannonball, nice and tight. But the way we do the exercise is that you want to lay flat out and then draw your upper body in as well as your knees in. Now if you can't do this simultaneously, what you want to do is use your legs as a counterweight to your torso. So You want to bring your torso up first, using your legs as a counter, and then draw your knees in. Of course, once you're good enough, you can do this simultaneously. And that is your canter. For your glute bridge, what you want to do is lie flat on your back. And what you're going to do is actually push off the heel of your base foot and arch your back. The most effective way to do this is to pull your foot in nice and tight and then arch up. Down and up, down and up. You should feel this in the glute as well as your hamstring. Pull your foot in nice and tight and raise up. Be careful not to use your arms and press off the floor. Your arms are up and you're pressing using your hips and your glutes. And that is your glute bridge. For a plie squat, you want to turn your feet out. So get in position first by pointing your toes out and bringing your heels in. And then when you go down, make sure your head and shoulders are upright, just as a normal squat, and then you're pressing up. Take your time, because your structure is a narrow one. Your structure has a narrow base. So be careful to manage your weight distribution. And that is your plie squat. With your bicep curls, you want to grab two weights that are of the same size. Make sure that your elbow does not come past your back when you're curling down. You can do a hammer position, or you can turn flat like a standard position here. Doesn't really matter. That's more of a forearm exercise. But what we're doing, but you want to make sure that your back does not go back. You don't want to fall backwards, so you can brace yourself by stepping backward a little bit on the ball of your rear foot. Hips are in, back is rounded out, and curled up. Make sure your core is nice and tight throughout the whole exercise. Don't swing. Do not use momentum. You want to be as still and steady as possible. Stay in control of your weight. Stay in control of your weight. Let the bicep muscle do the work, not gravity nor centrifugal force. Maintain posture and good form. With a standard push-up, you want to make sure that your back and your thighs and your hips are properly aligned. You want to be nice and straight. It doesn't really matter how low you go. You don't really have to go that low to engage the proper muscle group. But what you do want to do is make sure that your back is nice and straight. Do not let your hips slope down, for this is not a push-up. Do not let your hips pike up. That is not a push-up. Try to stay as straight as possible. Engage your core and simply focus on bending your elbows. This is proper, as well as this is proper. The key, again, is not letting your back dip or pike. But that is how you would properly execute a push-up. For your dumbbell flies, you want to bend over at the waist and use your lats and traps to raise the weight. Just as before, arch your back, don't let your back round out. As opposed to a lateral raise, the difference here is that you're leaning forward and you're arching the back. Bring your weights in nice and tight and raise. Slightly bend your elbows. You should feel that exercise, the top of your shoulders, the base of your neck, top of your back. And that is your dumbbell flies. To execute a dive bomber, you want to liken it to crawling under a fence and then backing out under a fence. So, you do start with your feet nice and wide and your hips nice and high. The focus is on your elbows. So bend your elbow and skim the floor, and then straighten your elbow and pike up with your head and shoulders. Come up and then bend your elbows again and go back. Hips leading the way, straighten your elbows. Bend your elbows, straighten your elbows. movements, back under the fence. And then it's your dive bomb.